Hey there, everyone, and welcome back to another crypto market update. My name is Brendan from Crypto 101, and in today's episode, we are full of bullish catalysts from six-figure Bitcoin predictions from some of the largest asset managers on the planet to the growing likelihood of a Bitcoin strategic reserve on not only the federal level, but the state level as well. We also have the likelihood of Solana ETFs coming into existence at now around 92 to 93%, and the price of not only Bitcoin but several altcoins have skyrocketed to new all-time highs. So welcome back, everyone. As you can tell, there is a lot to talk about in today's episode, and we're excited to cover not only what's happening on the charts, but also through the fundamentals and the news as well. So all that we ask here is that if you like the content that we make, consider hitting that like button, consider hitting that subscribe button, and if you really like the content, then check out some of those links in the description down below. But let's talk about this big old price prediction on Bitcoin first, because the CEO of BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager with over $10 trillion in assets under management, has come out. And they've said, hey, we can see a world where Bitcoin hits $700,000 per coin. Now, again, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill person. This isn't just your social media guru. This is the CEO of the largest financial institution in the world. They're giants, right? Many of us probably have money in some form or another in BlackRock, as a custody service. And so when we look at what BlackRock's saying here, the way that this can be possible is Bitcoin is floating right around the $100,000 level right now. They're saying, hey, we could see this thing doing a 7x from where it's currently priced at and, continuing upwards. And their path to success here is saying, hey, if Bitcoin continues to be adopted and we see Bitcoin allocated to anywhere from 2 to 5% of the average person's portfolio, that is where we can see this upper six-figure Bitcoin price prediction, right? That's where we can see Bitcoin approaching $700,000 per coin. Now, they're not saying anything too crazy here. They're not saying 10, 20, 50%. They're saying anywhere from maybe 2 to 5% of people's portfolios. That could mean that we see a $700,000 Bitcoin. Now, the more that gets allocated, the more that this would increase the likelihood of Bitcoin actually pushing towards $1 million per token, which we've seen other people talk pretty optimistically about. And I think the other thing to kind of note here is that they're not saying that this is an end of month or end of year prediction, but rather kind of painting the picture here for maybe the next several years, maybe for the next couple of cycles. But as time progresses, they can see this thing going up towards the higher end of the six-figure range. And I think even if this took 10 years to do 700%, it's still a pretty good rate of return at almost 100% per year, or just under that at a 10-year period. And I think a lot of us think that this can happen a whole lot faster than that. So anyway, something cool that I kind of came across as Bitcoin is consolidating. And beyond this, we also have the Mara CEO, who is one of the CEOs of one of the biggest mining companies in the world. They're publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. And what they seem to be doing right now, and what they see from their perspective, is that there's this big focus on bringing this Bitcoin strategic reserve to everyone, not only on a federal level, right? They talk about it through the federal government, but also on a state level as well, so that there could be essentially two different kinds of Federal Reserve. One that is directly managed and correlated by the states, and then one is directly managed or correlated to the federal government, the larger government. And if this happens, what a lot of people are expecting is that this will start a domino effect, where not only companies, or maybe the average person like we looked at a second ago, will adopt 2 to 5% of Bitcoin allocation in order to hedge against inflation and other risks. Well, that would mean that other federal governments, other state governments would probably have to do this as well. So would, international banks, so would different kinds of companies. And the domino effect kind of starts to begin to trickle after this. So there's a lot of speculation around this idea, and it looks like it is becoming a growing likelihood, or the likelihood of this outcome actually becoming reality is continuing to grow, which is a really positive thing for all the holders. And, beyond this, we're seeing the likelihood of the Solana ETFs, actually coming out. And these are increasing as well. So if we go, they had a really good tweet here from Vishal, who's saying, hey, the first deadline for the Solana ETFs is just 4 days away. And, now what we're seeing here is, I guess at the time of making this, it's only 3 days away. But we have some from Van Eck, 21 Shares, Canary, Bitwise, And I wouldn't be surprised if we see other people jumping on this as well. And if you go over to Polymarket, which I personally believe is one of the best ways to see how likely something actually is. We saw this with the election. We saw this with other, events. But Polymarket is saying, hey, there's a 92% approval of a Solana ETF in 2025. That's pretty freaking likely. So to put this in perspective, if Polymarket has a 92% chance of something happening, again, Polymarket tends to be right. And especially when it's this one-sided and skewed towards this, it really does look like we are going to be getting a Solana ETF. So this makes me bullish on the ecosystem. Of course, Trump launched his own Solana meme coin. The First Lady launched a meme coin. We had the Trump and Melania tokens. Both of those were on Solana. We saw the Solana network go crazy in light of this happening. And, from all of this, if we go over to the Solana chart, we saw Solana just skyrocketing to a new all-time high of around $295, just, roughly around that area, depending on which exchange you're looking at. Blew through its previous all-time high, and now we see it hovering around the previous all-time high of around 250 to 260. So what does this mean? Well, Solana hits a new all-time high. In the midst of all this, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high of around $109,000, and it's cleared a lot of its previous resistance levels as well. We saw 100K be a pretty big resistance for Bitcoin. Now we're closing the bulk of our candles over $100,000. We're seeing a lot of support there. Now it seems that we're kind of finding a new range between 100 and 110, whereas it used to be between around 90 to 100, right in here. Now it looks like we're kind of forming a new range between 100 on the low end and maybe 110 on the high end over in here. So something to kind of look at as we push into this week is that Bitcoin is holding value and it seems to look strong up here. So there's a lot of positive catalysts, really good news articles and stuff coming out, but the charts are also kind of reflecting this news with Solana and Bitcoin pushing higher. You also have other large caps. We've looked at SUI in the past, which is holding, still pretty close to that all-time high. It's only down about, 10-15% from that all-time high, which isn't too bad for an altcoin. We also have XRP, which is holding on to the all-time highs. It's only down about 6% from its all-time highs. So we have a lot of these large caps that are floating up towards that rough, all-time high area, and they aren't too far from this. Even Bitcoin, which is really only down about 4 or 5% from its all-time high. And it continues to hold and clear above resistance. And the cool thing here is that, even if we look at the Bitcoin ETF flows, these are staying high. And yes, we are having some selling days where there are actually outflows. Maybe we see outflows over here of 350 million, but the average day of inflows that we're seeing over here is, 700-800 million. Here was a day where it was, and I'm going to zoom in for us, but here was a day where it was over 1 billion. Here's another day where it was almost a billion. Here's another day where it was over 900 million. And so, yes, we are having some days of outflows of maybe 400, 500, 600 million, but the inflows are still dominating the Bitcoin ETF space. And what this means in simple terms is that there's a lot more inflows than there are outflows. And I think that's the important thing to kind of take home here. So to summarize all this, we have the likelihood of new altcoin ETFs skyrocketing, such as for Solana and XRP. We have a huge focus and push for this Bitcoin strategic reserve on a federal and state level, and we have some of the largest financial institutions and asset managers on the planet talking about how bullish they are on Bitcoin, and BlackRock is not alone here. We've seen some pretty cool articles come out from JP Morgan and a lot of these other financial providers as well. So all good things here in the crypto space. And as we progress and kind of go into the rest of 2025, we think that there's going to be a lot more info just like this. And we can't wait to keep everyone updated. So we hope all of you enjoyed this video. And if you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see all of you in the next video. Now, if you want to get more plugged in and you want to kind of continue your journey, maybe you're a very avid kind of crypto trader or someone that just likes to be involved in the space, then check out those links in the description down below. My good buddy Bryce Paul wrote a book called The Crypto Revolution, which is a great place to start if you're new to the space and maybe you're a little bit more experienced and you want to join a really awesome crypto community. Well, you can head over to Crypt Nation, which is our personal community. I'm one of the analysts over there, and you can find thousands of other like-minded individuals kind of talk your topics, talk your trades, talk whatever you're interested in, and bounce those ideas off of hundreds or maybe even thousands of other individuals who are interested in the same things that you are. So if that interests you, check out the links in the description down below. And until next week, we will see all of you at the same time, same place.